morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. And how I love you all so, and I hope that you're all super duper wild, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious. And that life is treating you most deliciously. So what do we do? 3, 2, 1, my juicy little lights. Thank you, little lights. You're delicious and bright. Yes, they are, aren't they? Right, my delicious little babies. So what's the time, Mr. Wolf? So it's nearly 3 p.m. in our old England, my delicious little babies, okay? It has been, sorry, excuse me, on and off raining. If it's raining, it's raining. At the moment, it's a bit dry. Has been sun shining a bit, but very grey clouds. But it's not cold. Okay, my delicious babies, and that's the weather forecast in my neck of the woods in old England. So I hope that wherever you are in the world, that you too are having a beautiful weather and a super duper and delicious time wherever you are, okay? Now then, so I've got a couple of videos, okay, my delicious little babies, okay, so I'm just going to mention these now. So the first one, my delicious little babies, is, and you know, it's the 28th of August 2025, my delicious little babies. So this is capital T, the birth on YouTube, my delicious little babies, capital T, true, space, capital C, cram, space, capital S, stories, and then space, capital H, hour. So it should read, once tapped in, true, cram, stories, hour, with spaces, my delicious little babies, okay? This uploader happens to have 16.8 thousand subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay? Now then, it's about an hour and 10 minutes long, okay, my delicious little babies, and well, the video should read, okay, I'm sort of like a quarter of the way through it, my delicious little babies, okay? And it should read, and I will be, there we are, I will be listening to the rest of it, okay? Detective Richard D. Hall. Well, I did mention Richard D. Hall, bless him. Of course, with anybody not in that way, not in that way. I mentioned him, there we are, long time ago. Okay, my delicious little babies. Me, myself, personally, I enjoy listening to some of his videos, my delicious little babies, okay? Simply because he's what you call, there we are, a real, there we are, journalist. Unlike the majority of them, my delicious little babies, you know, you probably only got, well, you know, figure of speech, a handful of decent journalists, my delicious little babies. The rest of them are all, shall I just say, poxy lies and propaganda, my delicious little babies, okay? But they're the ones who get paid a lot of ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching to, there we are, to bullshit. Do you see what I mean, okay? Real ones, of course, get sent to court and all different things like this now then, just like our poor dear Richard D. Hall, my delicious little babies, okay? Because he tells, there we are, the truth, okay? So I'll just read out what the video should say for the title. Detective Richard D. Hall exposes how the crime scene was faked. And Madeleine McCann. Okay, my delicious little babies, I'm just going to repeat that again for you, shall I? Detective Richard D. Hall exposes how the crime scene was faked. Madeleine McCann. Yes, my delicious little babies, okay, so you're probably wondering, well, why am I mentioning this? Well, I'm mentioning this because many years ago, one of my beautiful, dear little best friends, yeah, I love her so, you know, she's no longer with us. She's been passed away some years now, my delicious little babies. Well, she was absolutely beside herself when our lovely little Madeleine McCann, bless her dear little soul, went missing. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? But you see, my beautiful, dear little friend's dear husband, bless him, he'd known myself. I'd known him since I was 11, and he was ex-old Bill in SAS. I've mentioned this a long time ago, my delicious little babies, okay? But he said straight away, of course, my beautiful dear little friend, she wasn't having none of it. Okay, mad little baby, she was so upset about this. It was just unreal, and even till her passing, you know what I mean? Okay, while she could, still be aware, mad delicious little babies, okay. She was just worried sick every day of her life, wondering where our lovely little Madeline McCann had gone mad to little babies. But of course, her dear husband, because we were all her best friends, mad to little babies, okay. He straight away said, this is something to do with her mummy and daddy. There we are, mad to little babies. That is what he said. There we are, straight away. But of course, my beautiful dear little friend, bless, she just wouldn't have it. She said, no, they wouldn't do anything like that. They wouldn't do anything like that. And he said, no. He said, I'm telling you now. He said, there's something to do with this. Okay, and he stood by it. Okay, my little babies, okay, for years and years and years. Like she had one idea, bless her beautiful dear little soul, and he, bless his beautiful dear little soul, not in that way, not in that way. He had his view. Okay, my little babies. So you imagine over all the decades how much ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching that these pair made. Her mummy and daddy, my delicious, there we are, little babies. Now, I remember saying not long, I think, after I started on my videos, okay, my delicious little babies, and I actually mentioned, because I happened to watch this video. It was a rather long one, actually. I've typed some, sort of words in, to try and with the name and everything, but it's not coming up. I'd need to sort of move, maybe move the words around to get the video that I want. That's unless it's been taken off YouTube, my delicious little babies. But you see, Jerry McCann, okay, so Madeline's daddy bear, shall we say, my delicious little babies. He was in the Freemasons. He probably, there we are, still is, my delicious little babies, okay. And I know this, there we are, because I watched the video. So some would say, well, no, you're wrong, whatever. No. I watched this, there we are, years ago on, there we are, on YouTube, my delicious little babies. Yes, I did. So, ones have to really look at, there we are, really what went on, okay, because, and still, to be honest, I mean, still, it has not been so sad, fully released, okay, but looking at some of the comments, because, I only looked at a small number, my delicious babies. Well, let me tell you, you've got a bit of a mixed bag going on. And the reason why I say that is because you got some who said, well, they never fooled all of us. You see what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? And you had others said that, should have been locked up a long time ago. Do you see what I mean? Okay? Because you see what crossed my noddle and what crossed others' noddles over the years, my delicious little babies, okay, they were constantly focusing. I mean, bless her beautiful dear little soul, little wee little baby, bless her, okay, little Madeline, sorry, yeah, stumbled there. Bless her beautiful dear little soul. I'm on about her mummy and her daddy there, Mama Bear and Papa Bear. Okay, my delicious little babies. Why they kept, carrying this on for years and years and years. Now, look how many in the world now, delicious little babies, okay? Little babies. Oh, it's starting to thunder. It's like thunder, lightning. Getting back to the matter in hand now, delicious little babies. Why? There were so many babies in the world, thousands upon thousands upon thousands, who never even got a mention. Okay, my delicious little babies. And what struck myself, there we are, from the beginning, because I remembered I was really, really focused on this, what had happened to my delicious little babies all those years back, was I thought, well, hold on a minute. I thought, so you had 3 babies in the room now. Little Madeline was, slightly older than her little twin little baby brother, brothers and sisters there now. But at one part, see, I went to say point then, part. mad delicious baby, stumbling again. The one thing that I couldn't get my hat at, I thought, well, hold on a minute. I thought, so if somebody's going to take the little lass now, then why, leave the little twin babies? For myself, that never made any sense, my delicious little babies. And I remember from the start, I said, well, why didn't they take, I couldn't understand. I mean, I'm not saying in my camera, oh yeah, to take all three. I do not mean it's that way. It's just that I didn't get it. And I'm hoping that you're going to get me my delicious little baby's couch. And something else which I'd said, and anyway, I said this years and years and years back, I said something else that strikes me is a little cuddly toy. Like, if you listen around, in the world, sorry, my delicious little baby's got to stop saying around the world. In the world, my delicious little babies, if some mummies and daddies and, dear little families, bless them, have lost one of their little babies, very sadly, through different ways, my delicious little babies, let's just say, they usually will always leave, there we are, the bedroom intact, exactly the way that it was left, everything the way that it was left. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay, that's what I've always, there we are, known of it. Anyway, my delicious little babies, okay. But I noticed that little Madeline McCann's Mama Bear, she'd washed the teddy. Now, for myself, that's not something that I would have done, my delicious little babies, in a terrible circumstances like that, no. Because the one thing that you'd want is the last smell, of your little baby. So it's like, it's very, very sentimental. But she washed the teddy, and that's something else I couldn't get my hat around. You see what I mean, my delicious little babies? There was too much, but there's a lot of focus on this, but it seems that, of course, they've been talking about our lovely little Madeleine McCann, bless her beautiful, dear little soul, rather recently it's resurfacing, you see what I mean? But I'm not sure that that the mummy and daddy now are receiving the positivity, shall we say, my delicious little babies, do you see what I mean? And I also remember going back years and years and years ago where ones had raised so much ka-ching, ching, ching, and then, of course, they'd hire detectives, well, so it was all said. And then, of course, the ka-ching would dry up. And then, of course, more ka-ching would follow. There we are. Okay, my delicious babies, that's the way I remember it all those years back anyway. So, yeah, it's a story, isn't it? But really, I mean, bless our beautiful little baby, little Madeleine McCann, but doesn't everybody in the world, there we are, who are following this and willing and wishing for the little baby to come, you know what I mean, to come back home because they thought she'd been snatched. Do the mummy and daddy now not feel that the world deserves, there we are, the truth? There we are. Just a question, my delicious little babies, do you see what I mean? But anyway, but Richard D. Hall, bless him, he's, I'm pretty sure actually, will he be on Substack? He probably will be. I think he's got his own, because I used to watch him on his own, he's got his own website, my delicious little babies. Oh gosh, I've got to try and remember that. Oh, because I've got my dog and bone. I'm talking to you, my delicious little babies. But if you just maybe type in, richarddhall.com or something like that, my delicious little babies, and then he may come up. Then you may see his. But yeah, he's very passionate about what he does, my delicious little babies, and there we are, the information that he gives out. But he's one of these where he just won't let it go. So I would say, even it's Detective Richard D. Hall, you know what I mean? But I would say, like I said at the beginning, there we are, he's how a journalist should be. My delicious little babies, do you see what I mean? And of course, like I said earlier, then he finds himself in court and everything like this now. Then what? Because he's catching, there we are, them out. I'm not on about Mr. and Mrs. McCann. I'm talking about, this is to do with there we are, another case, My Delicious Little Babies. Do you see what I mean? That was a while back now, but he's well worth taking a listen to. But this video, so too is as well, My Delicious Little Babies. Now, finally, I haven't seen your man here now. Not in that way, not in that way. I haven't seen him forever, you know. Oh, he's getting married, bless. Oh, congratulations and celebrations, you know. And he's actually called, so the alternative media will know who this dear man is, but for some of you My Delicious Little Babies, you may know of him, but for others of our Delicious Little Babies, you may not. I haven't seen him forever. This is another one who I haven't seen forever, My Delicious Little Babies, called, well, is, you know, alleged Dave, okay, My Delicious Little Babies, but on old YouTube, okay, My Delicious Little Babies, this is all lowercase, so in the old space bar, My Delicious Little Babies, all lowercase, his initial to his name, his surname, and then 2 numbers all together. All together now, in no man's land, together. Okay, My Delicious Little Babies, D for Delta, or David, Murphy, 25, 2, 5. Okay, My Delicious Little Babies is all together, D Murphy, 25, lowercase wording. Okay, My Delicious Little Babies. Now, he's up to 73.6 thousand subscribers, My Delicious Little Babies. And the title to his video should read, The Truth They Hide. Okay, My Delicious Little Babies. So I'm just going to repeat that again for you, shall I? The truth they hide. Or hard. You know what I mean, My Delicious Little Babies, yes. Okay. So this video here, oh gosh, now hold on, because I watched one that was 3 hours long as well, just over. And I think it's that one on his same channel, My Delicious Little Babies, where all of a sudden your man there, who he was doing, you know, on a video with My Delicious Little Babies, all of a sudden he brought up this book, you know, that poor Dave didn't even know what he was talking about. He went, well, what's this? You see what I mean? They're the type of, let's just say that man there who Dave was talking to. This is on the one that was, I think, over 3 hours long, My Delicious Babies, on Dave's channel, D Murphy 25, My Delicious Babies. Okay? He's your kind of one on the video, not Dave, but your other man there. That I just found to be, there we are, rather sneaky and sly, My Delicious, there we are, little babies, okay? So Dave, politely, bless him, well, put your man there in his place. He says, well, I'd rather not, you know what I mean? Because we, dear Dave, he does his own research, My Delicious Little Babies, do you see what I mean? Okay, so he wasn't really, not being disrespectful now, okay? But he was talking to your man there. He was talking to on the video, do you see what I mean? Okay? So no disrespect, but that book really meant nothing, do you know what I mean? Because Dave was talking about, there we are, what Dave was talking about. Do you understand what I mean, My Delicious Little Babies? But that's how some of them are, you know. And of course, yeah, I was listening to our lovely Not In That Way, Not In That Way, okay? Our lovely Mag Bitter Truth official level on YouTube, My Delicious Little Babies, is still at 13.6 thousand subscribers. And he was talking about it. I was listening to a video yesterday, bless, and he was saying they were trying to get him, was it to do with Spotify? And trying to get him to do a video with somebody else. You see, you know what I call it? You know what came into my noddle? You know, watching these videos? It's like cross-watching. That's what I, there we are, would call it, My Delicious Little Babies. It's crisscross, you know what I mean? My Delicious Little Babies, anyway. But no, Mag wouldn't even touch it. Do you see what I mean? My Delicious Little Babies, okay? He either wants to talk to somebody. He's very blatant, the way he says it, let me tell you. He has no skin on his birth race, bless, old-fashioned Jamaican saying, you know what I mean? But fair play to him. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, the fact is, you either want to do a video with somebody or you do not. but it never sat very well with Mag. Do you see what I'm saying, my delicious babies? Bless him. There we are. He's got very good instinct, isn't it? You see what I mean? Yes. So when you're the man there on Dave's channel, D Murphy 25, my delicious baby, when he brought the book up, I mean, and you could tell that it was not staged. None of it was staged. It was genuine. Dave went, whoa, what's that? Do you see what I mean? And I just thought that was rather, there we are, sneaky of your other man there to do that. Do you see what I mean? Okay, my delicious babies. But this one that I'm advertising today, I like this conversation and the uploader. And again, not in that way, not in that way. So you got Dave, who's the uploader, and then he was talking to your other man there. This is one I'm advertising today. Now I've seen him many times. There we are before, my delicious babies. Now the conversation that they were having, there we are. You could tell, there we are, that they were comfortable with each other. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? You know, like he wasn't just going to pull a flipping book up. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies? Can well worth a listen. Dave, just to let you know, so if you're new to any of this, my delicious little babies, for some of you, it is rather in depth, okay? It's the case with any videos, and I always say, my delicious little babies, the takeouts and in pieces, bits and pieces. It's a case of taking out bits and pieces, my delicious little babies. But Dave was also on there, I think it's about 5 months ago, and he's got another video on there. So all you'd have to do is just to please and thanks, should anybody have any form of an interest, just to go onto his channel, please, then click on videos. If you click on a circle, then click on videos, my delicious little babies, okay, please and thank you. And you want the one that's 5 minutes ago, and this is his plea, because he called it, humanity. I say mankind, but Dave says, bless him, humanity. His plea to humanity. I think it's only about 20 odd minutes long, please. I would strongly suggest, there we are, that ones listen to that video, please and thank you. But he's very, very, very good, is alleged Dave. Okay, my delicious little babies, I've known it, there we are, about him for years. There we are, I've watched many videos to do with alleged Dave. Okay, my delicious little babies. So I was so pleased when he came back up, because I hadn't seen him, because I've been too engrossed with, looking at other videos at the moment. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Okay? And of course, they put me on a pause, so I cannot always say thank you. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Okay? But anyway, it's so lovely when I haven't seen, uploaders for a while, like I said, not in that way, not in that way. When I haven't seen them for a while, my delicious little babies, then all of a sudden I start to see them now. It's bucketing down with rain, my delicious little babies, okay? So if it's raining, it's raining. It's pouring down, absolutely. You probably hear the thunder in a minute. Anyway, so now I'm going to close my book, and we just need to always go back to where we need to go back to, my delicious little babies, okay? So yeah, and then there is a couple more things I want to say, my delicious little babies, and I'm going to be over an hour. Oh no, sorry, there's a few things. So I was looking on our lovely, not in that way, our lovely davidite.com. Of course, you can also go on iconic.com, okay, for a very, very, very tiny, small fee. Is it like $1.99 or something? You can see all of the hours upon hours of different videos and, various different things like that. But, yeah, so it's showing, I thought that this was only a matter of time. What's his name? The one of Argentina, the Prime Minister. I forgot his flipping name now. I mentioned him a long time back. So it seems that the propaganda is that he's very much loved by his country, my delicious babies. Well, not the shorty video that I've seen on our lovely davidite.coms. Our lovely David Icke, yeah. It didn't look to myself like his population was really liking him. No. He's in a car and he was needing to really get out of there, because it seems that he's, there we are, despised. My delicious little babies, do you see what I mean? Really, there we are, despised. Okay, it's only seconds long, my delicious little babies, but there we are. Well worth a little watch of that. Now then, so I was looking, so, since my last video, so there's been another subscriber gone, well, you know what? I am not being nasty, my delicious little babies, because I'm not here for subscribers. I'm highly delighted. And I'm saying that in my camera now because the reason why is because, as far as I'm concerned, it shows when maybe, one is touching a nerve. There we are. Do you know what I mean? My delicious little babies, Kai. So for myself, when I seen it this morning, I thought, hip hip hooray! There goes another one. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Yes. Like I said, I don't need any more subscribers. If I'm doing readings, then there we are different, because that's how I have a lot of my subscribers now. Bless them all. Okay, my delicious little babies, even though I haven't done any readings for quite a while, which I should get back to. But, so the majority is from doing readings, my delicious little babies. So I don't have an issue with that, okay? Because this is McCann's, bless them, ones who, the readings, there we are, can really, really help some in the world, my delicious little babies, bless them all. Do you see what I mean, okay? So I have no issue with that. No. This is to do with, somebody who's probably subscribed to myself in my videos, you know what I mean? Then, I said whatever I was done saying, there we are, then they've unsubscribed. Well, good. And I'm not going to say thank you that they subscribed to me either. Like I said, I do not always, oh God, can you hear it? Bucketing down. This is what I say, you see. You see, you can be really spiritual and you could be really super duper delicious and respectful to whomever you meet or whoever you speak to, okay? But I believe in, there we are, a freedom of speech. And I believe, there we are, that I should say what's on my noddle, there we are, and that's what I did. And as far as I'm concerned, there we are, that is what I will continue to do. So it's no loss to myself, no loss whatsoever. Let it continue. Anyway, my delicious little babies, but to whoever, my beautiful little babies out there that you are, who do listen to my channel, and you do, there we are, get me. Okay, my delicious little babies, I will say thank you. And peace, love, harmony, and bright blessings to each and every one of you. But do you see what I'm saying? It's like we live in a world, where, you cannot offend this or you cannot offend that. Do you know what I mean? Okay, but the way I see it is that it seems to go, there we are, one way. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? So if everybody just walked around and said, be kind, which is how we're all supposed to be, my delicious little babies, then, well, as far as I can see, we're really not getting anywhere, are we, my delicious little babies? I'm not talking about violence or anything like that. I am certainly not talking about that. But if adults cannot even have a sensible conversation and see somebody else's point of view, then I've got nothing more to say, my delicious little babies, okay? And I couldn't give a figure F who it is. I certainly wouldn't have any respect for those. Okay, my delicious little babies, so no love lost there with that subscriber. Let's see how we get along, shall we? And anyway, finally, my delicious little babies. So, what's it I have to say? Yesterday, so I was out walking, wasn't I, my delicious little babies, car? And there's a beautiful, I think she was a little she. I named her Buttercup. I feel as though she'd been laid there, she'd been put there, so maybe she got stunned by a car or something, although there was not really any blood as such, a very, very tiny amount. And I went to go and get a black bean lana from the shop, my delicious little babies. I had loads at home. All I did was just ask, do you have a black bean lana? Of course, it's a shop, and they said no. Anyway, I said, that's all right. But it just so happened that I knew another dear lady, and she gladly gave me a heavy-duty black bean lana, my delicious little babies. Anyway, So I went to this beautiful little fox. She was only a little pup fox. And I picked her up and I put her in the black bin liner and I carried her all the way home. My delicious little babies, I carried her home. And I brought her home. Then I asked somebody if they could so very kindly take me down to the nearest vet, the PDSA, my delicious little babies. I never give them a call. I just, took her straight down there. So bless, one of my beautiful, not in that way, not in that way, one of my beautiful dear little neighbours for taking me there and bringing me back. And I was very upset about this. I was really upset. But, it's amazing when you see that, she was just lying, she was lying there. I don't mean just lying there. She was lying there. Okay, my delicious little babies passed away. And ones were coming out the park entrance, and you had workmen, and you had all sorts of different things going on, and they just walked straight past her. And I actually did. I shouted it out loud. I said, this is what an uncaring world, there we are, looks like, and what we live in. So I took her to the PDSA, my delicious little babies. I just had to wait a few minutes, and they said, could you come into the side door, and I brought her in and everything, And then they said, if you could please just put her on the table, the metal table, And because we see a lot in the hospitals, don't we? The long metal tables, you know what I mean? My delicious little babies. And yeah, so I was giving her some kisses and, just stroking her. It's the closest that I've ever been to a little beautiful fox, my delicious little babies, and yet I feed them almost every night. There's the odd night when I do not, because there's other little pussycats, they have their homes to go to, but they keep eating the food. Do you see what I mean? They're yamming off the food that I put for my beautiful little foxes, which I've been doing for years. Okay, so when I put it out and I have to bring it back in again, it's like a flipping backwards and forwards. You know what I mean? I'm like a flipping yo-yo. Do you know what I mean? My delicious little babies. Okay, but all I want to do is give them something to eat because they have to forage and for their own food. Do you see what I mean? My delicious little babies. I give to all little babies, animals. Of course I do. I've done it ever since I was this high. Do you see what I mean? But when they got homes, I just want mine to eat as well. My beautiful little foxes. That's all I want. My delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? And I was praying that this little baby wasn't the one who comes to myself, because the little baby's been coming lately, but I've only been seeing one. Part of our beautiful little Barney family. But yes, my delicious little baby, so I stayed with her. And then I said, is she going to be going to a final resting place now? I think that, I don't know if it's changed, but I think that they come to collect on a Friday. I do not mean that in a nasty way. It's when the day when they come. And she said, well, because, the little fox does not have a name, and there's other little who we call our beautiful sons and daughters, sometimes they do not have a name, very sadly. Well they do, but I suppose what she's talking about is if they got knocked over, if they're stray or something, very sadly. She said then they all get, in other words, cremated together, and then all of their ashes then get scattered. My delicious little babies. But anyway, in that short space of time, I named her a Buttercup. She's honestly so beautiful, really beautiful. I was really, really sad over it, and I was in the PDSA, and I was really welling up. You know what I mean? Okay, and then another day, woman came to me, sorry, and she says to me, bless her, she says we lost our little pussycat. She just says not so long ago, and I said, oh gosh, I said I'm really sorry to hear that. So I asked what the name of her little baby was, and she told me. I still memorise it. And she said, but we found him 5 days later. You see what I mean, my delicious little babies? It's so very, very, very sad. And usually the main one is when they get run over or they get clipped by a car, and then sometimes they'll manage to make it to the other side of the road, my delicious little babies, and maybe they just cannot go on anymore, and then that's when they collapse, bless them. But what my thoughts was, I thought I would have felt even worse if I had seen our beautiful little Buttercup and, she'd have got clipped by, knowing that I couldn't do nothing because I don't have a car at the moment. Do you see what I mean? For nobody to help me to get her to the vets. Do you see what I mean? So I do feel in that respect, there we are, I would have felt flipping worse. My delicious little baby's okay, but I picked her up and she was still a bit warm. But so I carried her. She's about the size of I say smaller than my little Rubes. I'd probably say she was probably the size of a French bulldog. My delicious little baby she was, but very thin and everything. But of course, for her to be out in the morning, she must have been, there we are, most hungry. So she must have been looking for food or something. Do you see what I mean, my delicious baby? Anyway, I was broken-hearted. But I was so thankful for the help, I was so thankful for the black bean land. I mean, I've got loads here, do you understand what I mean? But it's just at that time, because otherwise I had to walk all the way back and then come all the way back. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes, okay, so it was better for me to do, anyway, so I did that. Yeah. So, 25 to 2 yesterday, 25 to 2. That I came out to the vets. I came out to little babies. And anyway, I just didn't want to do a video yesterday. I was just feeling a bit down with it all yesterday, my delicious little babies. Do you understand what I mean? So it's just so sad. And how you just see one's just, just walk past as though she was nothing. But that's the world that we're in, my delicious little babies. Unfortunately, I'm not going to say it about everybody because not everybody's like that, my delicious little babies, okay? But some are. But this is the first ever time that I've ever came across a beautiful little fox, and that happened. So I've never had this before, my delicious little babies. And I'll tell you what, I was like this, and then I was all upset, and then I was thinking, well, how can I get her back home to man? Do you understand what I mean? And it was all a mixture of emotions all in one go, my delicious little babies. That's how I felt. But everybody knows how much, everybody knows how much I love animals. I really do love and adore little babies, animals, creatures great and small, little and large birds, little and large animals and everything, okay? It's just that, like I said, when I'm wanting to just feed my little babies, do you know what I mean? So, I mean, but that's what ends up happening. It's like you feed one or two, then you're feeding a flipping 5,000 my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? And it's already costing me. Anyway, I'm not moaning about it, but it does cost me rather a lot each month. I'll probably say to feed my beautiful little babies. And then, bless, because I don't mind that, the little pussycat from up the road, she comes down sometimes. I've got no problem with that, my delicious little babies, okay? But of course, I only have Ma too, which is a beautiful little, mares me beautiful little ribs, okay? But the little beautiful baby, she pops down with something to eat, then she'll have a bit of a sleep, bit of shut-eye, then she goes back again, my delicious little babies, okay? Anyway, no problem there. Then I feed my little birdies, little squirrels, little Daisy. She comes out. I think she's an orphan, because I don't see her with a mummy and daddy, so she's a little orphan on her own. Okay, my delicious little baby. So anyhow, I think all that, working it all out, it is about, I would say, about 80 to 100 kaching a month, my delicious babies. I wouldn't have it any other way. But, but the thing is, for myself, my heart goes more, goes out to all animals, but really goes out to like little foxes, or if you have little stray animals, or even stray little pussycats, or, we don't really seem to see many stray like little rubes or anything. Do you know what I mean? Years ago, you used to just let, ones used to just let their, when I was little, I mean, I'm talking about when I was really, really little, like say 4 or 5, and they just used to let the little babies just roam the streets, my delicious little babies. So they never used to be walked. They just used to, you know what I mean, just let them out. So then the little babies would be out, and then they'd go back in whenever they felt like it, my delicious little babies. Very similar, we are, to how pussycats are. I mean, you have got like your little house pussycats, do you understand what I mean, who always stay in the house or in the flat. But then you got others where they go venturing off. Do you understand what I mean? And then they come back again, you know, like that mad delicious babies. But yeah, when I was growing up, really, really tiny, yes, you just used to see them. They were just like little pussycats, you know, who were like our beautiful little roos, exactly the same, you know, just roamed around. And then I do believe, actually, I think they do it in some countries, don't they, mad delicious babies, even now. You know, they've been doing it a long time. I used to see a lot of them actually when I used to go to Turkey. There's an awful lot of pussycats there, and there was yeah, like little roofs. Not exactly, you know what I mean. Um, that used to have that years ago. Yeah, whenever I used to go to Turkey, and they always used to say, "Do not stroke them because of rabies." Well, to be honest with you, my delicious little babies, there was one like little rubes, and I did stroke, and I did give them something to eat. My delicious little babies, do you know what I mean? It's all a fear, isn't it? It's just to frighten everybody. My delicious little babies, do you know what I mean? Anyway, so I thought I'd tell you that sad news. So yeah, I think that it'll be about, I think, is it 4 o'clock today when they come round with the truck. So Little Buttercup's going to be going today. I think about 4 o'clock. I think they still do it on a Friday, like I said. But anyway, she has been on my mind, you know, for a lot of the day. You know what I mean? Mad delicious babies. But I definitely feel, I do not feel as if she just, I think somebody, unless she got clipped first, I don't know, and then somebody must have got out of the car or seen her in the road and maybe just lay her there. She looked like that mad delicious little baby, you know what I mean? But she was still a bit warm, but she definitely passed. Yeah. I was just so upset. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about it anymore, mad delicious little babies. It just upset me too much. Do you understand what I mean? Okay. But yeah, I just feel that, you know, the world that we're in. I mean, if you look at other countries, you know, like where is it? Is it in Canada and places like that? You know, they have what's called road kill, and then they'll pick them up. But I do believe that they, in some places, I'm not sure if it's Canada. Anyway, please just do not quote me, okay? My delicious base, please and thank you. But yeah, they actually will use them as a, you know, because I've seen videos. I mean, I haven't looked all the way through because it just upset me too much. Do you understand what I mean? My delicious babies, okay? But yeah, they pick them up. They actually pick them up, you know, as food. So the beautiful little animal has passed. You see what I mean? So that, yeah. So the way that they see it is, well, they haven't killed the little animal, blessed. They haven't killed the little baby. Do you understand what I mean? Baby animal. Do you see what I'm saying? Because when they found the little animal, it was just fresh. I do not mean that in the wrong way, okay? But, you know, just being killed, you know, through being knocked over or something. Do you see what I mean? Mad delicious babies. But anyway, so they see it as being, you know, that they will eat. Do you know what I mean? Mad delicious babies. Anyway. So yeah, so that's all I have to say. My delicious babies. And the other one last thing I wanted to say. Sorry, my delicious babies. I was trying to think of the other country now where you see them carts. You know, that's on my last video that I was talking about. America. Yeah, lots of hot dog carts. Okay, my delicious babies. You see them in a lot of the films over the years. My delicious babies over the decades. You know, those hot dog stands and them donut stands and all that. That's the other place. And I couldn't spare a thought on my last video, Marge. I was thinking there is somewhere else, America. Born in the USA. It looked just like that. Okay, my delicious little babies. Anyway, so wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one life, my little honey bunnies. Sending peace, love, harmony, and bright blessings to each and every one of you. And may your beautiful little selves and your beautiful little families, may you all be fully protected. And how I love you all so. Thank you so very much for any views, for any likes, for the occasional comments. But yes, as I say, you know, if somebody doesn't enjoy listening to any of my videos, you know, for whatever reason that would be, well, the best thing to do is just to unsubscribe. There we are. Best thing to do, really. Do you know what I mean? My delicious little baby's kind, because I just feel no way. Do you know what I mean? You know, I should be able to talk about, but the one thing I'm never ever going to do is be fearful. You know, like you see some YouTubers, oh, you know, if they lose subscribers, oh, it's the worst thing in the world. I'm losing my subscribers. What do I do? What do I do? Well, the best thing to do is let it go, let it go. Do you see what I mean? My delicious babies. Anyway, and that's how I'm going to end my video, okay? So once again, thank you for listening. How I love you all, sir. Take care now, and please try to take care of others. Thank you. Goodbye.